Hello, I'm here with Richard, again. That's pretty cool.
Is it? Thank you.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the video
Yes,
progresses.
we will. Hey, how's lockdown going?
Shit, I've eaten lots of 2-minute noodles. I think I consist of 30% 2-minute noodles. By the end of this lockdown, I think I could get it up to 40%, maybe even 50.
Yeah, look, my own eating patterns haven't been that healthy, to be honest. No, that's even before we get on to drinking patterns.
Guys, so what are we watching today,
Okay,
Richard?
we are watching the iconic Star Wars.
So have you seen Star Wars before?
No, but of course, even I have the exposure to culture that gives me a bit of an idea of Star Wars.
What kind of idea do you have?
There's a person called Darth Vader, who is apparently the epitome of evil, more or less, and I'm told that he has a voice like mine, so you and users will be able to judge that for yourselves. There's a person called Luke Skywalker. Have I got my franchises right here?
Yes, you do.
Now, Yoda, I believe, is a thing.
Yes, he's not in it till the second one, though.
Yeah, right,
He's not in the first
okay, and of course, Baby Yoda is a big thing.
one. Yeah, he's not in this at all.
Oh, sad, because he was cute.
He's in the Mandalorian TV show. Anything else to talk about this before we watch it?
Well, do you want to give me any background?
I don't think so. Just the idea that this is like one of the most famous movies ever made.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
More so than Space Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm very much aware of that, if not the most famous, I would have said. I've got a friend who's really, really into it. He collects memorabilia and so on, and has lots of it, a whole bedroom at his parents' house full of it. By the way, what year was the first one made?
It was after Space Odyssey. 74, I want to say. Shay, put up the date on the screen. The date's on the screen. if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't tell.
Yeah, right, okay, cool. And there was one released last year, right?
Well, they're releasing one every year, pretty much.
Really?
Now,
So how many have there been so far?
this was the 9th official Star Wars movie in the
Yeah.
like the Star Wars series, and then there was 2 spin-off movies, and there's that TV show now, Mandalorian TV show.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also like a bunch of animated TV shows as well. So it's huge. It's very large.
I do understand that every time it comes out, the entire fan base, which is most of the planet, gets together online and argues as to whether the new one was shit or not.
I would say there's only 2 actually like great Star Wars movies.
Right? Do you want to tell me what they were, or?
Well, they're episode 4 and episode 5. The first one we're gonna watch.
Yep.
And then the one after that is better, in my opinion.
Are we watching these chronologically, by the way? Like, I'm aware that the episodes don't go in chronological order, but
Yeah.
are we watching the first one?
We're
that
watching
came
the first
out?
one that was made.
Yeah,
Yes,
cool.
the
That's
first
great.
ever made
That's what I
one.
want to do.
So originally it was called Star Wars, but now it's called Star Wars A New Hope. It was changed after they made a series out of it.
Right. Okay. All cool then. Well, I think we should probably watch the movie, and I will see what I think.
Okay, enjoy.
It's an epic of heroes.
Good luck.
And villains. And aliens from 1,000 worlds. Star Wars. 1 billion years in the making. And it's coming to your galaxy this summer.
So we're finished watching Star Wars. Richard, how'd you find it?
Wow, it was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was. One of the things for me, this is like meeting friends you've heard about but you've never met. I don't know if you've ever had a friend in some distant city and they tell you about all their friends, their whole friend ecosystem, and you know all about their family and friends and all the rest of it, and then you go and meet them and you get introduced to all their friends. So this was a bit how that felt for me.
Do you want to describe Star Wars to the 3 people who haven't seen Star Wars before?
Well, I don't want to spoil it for them, but yeah, okay. Right, so the story is that there's forces of good and evil, as there always are. In the initial scene, the forces of evil overtake a speeding away starship which has got the plans for their, if you like, infernal machine. Space station, which can destroy whole planets and will enable them to control the galaxy. With these plans, they can analyze sufficient of the Death Star to analyze its defenses and then destroy it. And of course, so they are desperately rushing after these plans, and at the last minute, the princess that's on board that has got the plans gives the plans to a couple of robots, chucks them into an escape pod, and sends the escape pod on its way. She is then taken prisoner along with the rest of the crew who are either taken prisoner or killed. Now, these robots are called R2-D2, which is a name that even I knew was associated with Star Wars, and the other annoying one is called, I believe, 3PO.
C-3PO. You think he's annoying?
Yeah, a little, yes, rather, in fact.
So before...
And look, I'm the sort of person who likes protocol, come on.
Yeah, so before you watch this movie, you said you think that people compare your voice to Darth Vader. As soon as you said that, I thought, no, you're C-3PO.
Well, that's really annoying, but actually what I thought when I watched the film, as far as comparing my voice goes, is that the people who say that I sound like Darth Vader are probably people with whom I communicate with using the very headset that I'm using now, and that means that my mic is constantly positioned too close to my nose. Maybe. Hence I sound like Darth Vader. Either way, I find this disturbing and worrying. Also, I'm more than a little insulted with your 3CPO thing. C-3PO.
Hey. It's just an honest comparison.
So yeah, the robots kidnapped/stolen by a bunch of so-called sand people.
They were kidnapped by the Jawas.
The Jawas, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, sand people and the Jawas are two different people.
Right, okay.
Because the Jawas are all short people with the hoods.
So they were kidnapped by the Jawas and sold to Luke Skywalker's uncle. After a little bit of domestic carry-on at the Skywalker household, R2-D2 runs away, in effect, to try and carry out his instructions that he got from Princess Leia to get to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke pursues them. They eventually find their way out into the outer reaches, where they are found first by the Yabba and then by the said Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. Long story short, they are on their way to deliver these plans to the rebel base, the rebels being the good guys in this scenario. They obtain an Uber on a spaceship driven by Han Solo, another old friend that I knew of but had never met before. They shoot out to the planet Oberon, where Princess Leia comes from. As they're approaching, the planet is destroyed by the Death Star, and then they got pulled into the field of the Jet Star. After creating pulled into the field of the Death Star. After creating chaos in the Death Star, they, minus Obi-Wan Kenobi, who dies, in double inverted commas, they manage to escape, and then they head for the new rebel planet. The rebel planet, which is not where Princess Leia came from, if I got this right. The plans are downloaded, as was the original intention, to enable them to be used in the defense against the Death Star. This is done, and the pilots, including Luke Skywalker, are able to destroy the Death Star, and they become great heroes, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Yes, yeah, that's pretty much how I describe it. It's just a good family film, running around the galaxy, shooting bad guys.
Yeah, lots of laser noises and laser weapons and so on.
Well, speaking of the live happily ever after, they had that medal ceremony at the end, right?
And R2-D2 didn't seem to get one, did he?
Well, neither did Chewbacca.
Who?
You know, the big hairy bear.
Did he not get one either?
He didn't get one. Only Luke and Han got medals. And it's a big controversy in the Star Wars community.
That's disgraceful.
I know.
I honestly thought that... What did you call him? The hairy guy.
Chewbacca.
I honestly thought that he got one. That is disgraceful.
I know, it's kind of racist, honestly.
What race is Chewbacca? Just so
He's
I
a
can...
Wookiee.
He's quite annoying. He doesn't have a descended larynx.
You don't like Chewbacca?
Well, as I say, he doesn't have a descended larynx, which is the thing in humans that we have, which allows us, finesse voice control, which is why we can talk and dogs can only bark. And right. Chewbacca can only make those stupid noises that he makes.
You can only go, "Arr!"
Yeah.
Can you give me a Chewbacca growl?
No. I draw the line at that.
So, was there anything you didn't like about this movie?
No, not really. I would have to consult my notes. Look, obviously, unfortunately, we're going to have to make a comparison to Space Odyssey because there's not much else to compare it to. Well,
of course.
Space Odyssey, Sonic the Hedgehog, Salo, and dare I say it, even The Shining.
And The Lighthouse.
Sorry, that was what I'm also trying to think of. Both The Lighthouse and 2001: A Space Odyssey were attempting to be slightly deeper things than this.
It's got more emotion, it's got more metaphors. It's meant to make you think after the movie, where this one's just meant to make you
Yeah,
enjoy
this is just
yourself.
good old entertainment, and hey,
Yeah, just
it
some
works.
escapism, get out of your life for a couple of hours.
There are plenty of books that are just written for people to read for entertainment.
Like the Bible?
No, the Bible's supposed to make you consider your life, Shay.
Ah.
Okay, we will have a separate conversation on this later.
Former cultist reviews the Bible.
I didn't actually mean on YouTube. I meant to you personally.
Alright, so I'll tell you a big gripe that I have with this movie.
Yep.
So this movie came out in 1977, and
Yep.
then the 2 sequels were made like a couple years after, like, or so, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
think the last
Yeah,
one
so
came
late
out in
70s.
84.
Yes, very much I believe it did. Yep, go on.
Yeah, but then the director, George Lucas,
Yep.
came back to it in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yes.
And added some extra bits to the movie. And then deleted the old version. So what you saw was the new version of Star Wars.
Evil.
So would you like me to explain what isn't meant to be in this movie?
Yes. But why didn't you
So-
get me to watch the original in the first place?
Well, Lucasfilms, the people that own the Star Wars, they have said that they will never release the original version. The only version of the original is on VHS, tapes. I'll explain some of the things. So there's like a lot of just added CG, like when they're on Tatooine, the sand planet, at the start where Luke's from.
yeah, all those stupid animals.
Yeah, all the stupid animals just all
Yeah.
around. There's like big CG bits walking in
Yep.
front of the screen. It's really annoying. It doesn't add anything to the movie. It really
No.
doesn't.
No, exactly.
So there are some things that are added that are maybe for the best, like the lightsabers looked a lot worse beforehand. The lightning swords,
Yes, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've got a comment to make about them later. Keep going.
But there's just a lot of small things that they've edited in. It doesn't add anything to the movie. Like, it doesn't make it better, and it's just annoying.
Doesn't make it worse, though, in fairness to them.
Well, it does ruin my enjoyment. Like when I see it, I groan. I go, this should not be here. There's some good bits later. Like if we end up watching the second and the third one, there are a lot better ones to go. Oh yes, especially in the third one. The third one, they do it well. There's some good bits in it. But yeah, in this one, terrible. It's such a waste of time. It's so annoying.
On the other hand, I have a horrible feeling now that you've said that if I watched the original, I wouldn't think, goodness me, this new stuff is complete blasphemy. I might think that from an artistic perspective.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of...
But I probably wouldn't have the negative reaction that I did to, say, The Shining.
But it's kind of disgusting, right? Like, coming back to art that people love. Because, this was a very, very well-loved movie for decades. And then he's like, no. What you like? Fuck that. Well, I'll fix it.
Yes, but on the other hand, I suppose I can see the point of view that if you're a creator and you get and there's going to be a major, if you like, re-release of one of your items, be it a book or a movie or whatever, and you get the opportunity to either enhance or correct mistakes or bring the original closer to your version, then is that sort of fair enough? And would I do it myself? Possibly. Although I'd probably make both available.
Exactly. That's the thing that's annoying.
The thing is that actually if they had both available, everybody would say, oh, the new improved version is much better. But because...
see, I disagree because the problem is he did this in the early 2000s when CGI is still really bad.
Yes, it's notable.
So it's noticeable. Like this is cutting edge CGI at the time.
Right.
But it has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. Like even looking back at a movie like Avatar, 2009's Avatar.
Yeah, I remember
dated.
that was that was a really big CG movie, wasn't it?
And it was cutting edge at the time. But that was over 10 years ago. That CG is really dated. Now imagine 20 years ago, and then adding that to a movie that's famous for being so practical.
I don't even know. I mean, did the world actually properly exist 20 years ago?
Probably not. So did you like the crawl at the start? The writing? That's what it's called, the crawl.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
it was
that's
good.
in pretty much every single Star Wars movie. It's like
Great.
a staple to Star Wars. It's a fun thing.
Yep. It was, I saw those words a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And I was like, whoa, this is iconic stuff that I've heard of before, and now I'm watching the actual. And it would be like going to see the Mona Lisa or whatever, when actually I already know what it looks like, but whoa, it's pretty cool in person. Same for a building or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you're in awe at it. Like, it's so Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
That, like, even nowadays, if you go see the new Star Wars movie, it's still great when you get to see the crawl. I don't know, I feel like it's such a unique thing to Star Wars.
Yeah, no, I do. I like it a lot.
Oh, another thing that was edited in.
Yep.
There's an entire scene edited in. There's that bit where Han is walking up to the Millennium Falcon, there's that giant slug.
Was that added in? I thought that was going to be the one that was added in. Yes,
Yeah,
I knew that.
That scene was originally shot, and Jabba the Hutt, the big slug guy, was just a person. He was
really
just a guy, and they cut that scene because they didn't. George Lucas, the director and the creator of Star Wars, he said, "No, I want it to be a giant slug, and we don't have the technology for that. So fuck it, delete it." When they came back, they went back into the archives and got that scene and put it in.
Which is bad, because it goes to show that it does look different. By the way, was it called Episode 4 at the time?
No. Originally, it was just called Star Wars. That was it.
Understand.
Before they even made a sequel. And then they came back and got Episode 4 because they made the first three, the prequel trilogy in the 90s and the early 2000s.
The way to do it is not to keep on making sequels and prequels and brother-sister movies. Okay, now you are going to groan when I start giving this example.
As you know, I want to write an anthology of all of Stephen King's work. Most of his works are intertwined with others in one way or another. Also, all of them are completely fine as standalone books. And it's only once you've read them all that you realise, okay, that character is the same as that one, and this one is the same as that one.
Yeah, okay, so I suppose actually The Shining and Doctor Sleep would be a bit of a... direct sequels, right? Well, yes, but I can't recall other people that they have got in them that the other books haven't. But you take the, in Salem's Lot, the vampire movie, the pastor that gets rejected by his church is the same one that crops up in about the third book of the Dark Tower series. Oh, okay, interesting. And the breaker that is breaking the beams for, referred to in one of the Dark Tower series, is the man that befriends the kid in the first of the trilogy of Hearts in Atlantis.
Come on, Richard, please.
So what do you think about the Force?
The Force is a good metaphor. And what's it a metaphor for? I don't know. Good intentions? If you already believe in a specific higher power, the whole thing seems a little bit airy-fairy and perhaps Buddhist in its...
Yes. Yeah, it is very Buddhist, I've always found.
But no, it's good. And the obvious thing is that it's not that heavily used, if you like, throughout the movie. What I mean by that is that obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi uses it, and Luke does in those final scenes. There's enough, shall I say, left out about it that there's a lot yet to come. Yeah, by the way, something that I did notice, and I'm sorry that I only realised it's the end because I would have liked to give you a few examples, but I can only think of one. All through the movie, they've got these little sort of deep statements or little morals or whatever you call them, The one that I noted down at the end was, he's going to follow his own path. No one else can choose it for him. A few things like that all the way through, which is quite nice.
Yeah, well, it's a nice coming of age story about Luke.
Yes.
Really coming into his own, really becoming his own person, taking on such a big force of the Empire.
Yes, yeah, it is. And at the same time, it's not overly laboured. Like, you think about another coming of age story, which you don't like, and I really do, is...
Stand By Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Best film. But you think it's the worst film. As a coming of age story, it's really well done. It's not overdone. And in fact, I think that's what makes it a really good movie. Full stop. You've got all these competing ideas and metaphors and all the rest of it running through it, but they're not overdone. They're hardly ever overdone. It compares a little bit favourably to 2001: A Space Odyssey as far as that goes. I suppose in one way, there's another way of saying this is, this is just light family entertainment and it's not too deep. But the other way that comes across is these metaphors are not overdone.
Yeah, well, there's all these these relatable characters in Star Wars in comparison to 2001, which is more about ideas and themes.
Yes, yeah, and there's no sort of, there isn't a young hero and all the rest of it, and the people that are heroes are they're astronauts, but reasonably bureaucratic ones, which bureaucracy takes the coolness even out of astronauts if possible.
We talked about this on 2001 video, but I actually cut it from the conversation. But so Princess Leia is considered one of the first feminist characters, first independent in film.
Yes, you're right. And of course, you heard what I had to say along the lines of Stanley Kubrick hates women. Well, George Lucas obviously doesn't.
Well, she's like the only woman in the whole movie.
Yeah, but listen, you're better to have one useful and sensible and spunky woman than you are to have 1,000 useless, silly ones.
But there's a lot of.
I agree. I agree that it's all fairly male dominated.
Yes.
But I think a lot of the time in any authentic feeling war theme, you are going to get that a bit.
Of course.
I'm not making excuses, but yeah. I mean, traditionally males go to war, and there is a good reason for that.
Well, that's a sexist statement right there, Richard. How dare you?
No, it isn't. What do you think the reason is?
Women are just as capable as men in all sorts of fields. How dare you?
Your point is noted that there is only about that one female in the whole place. Two, actually. His aunt.
I guess, yeah.
But at least she was a spunky, sensible woman. Good on her.
But the argument is, like, against that is she's still a damsel in distress most of the movie.
Look, I see what you mean about saying damsel in distress as a literary concept. You know, she's not that distressed. She shows a bit of spunk.
But she never would have been able to get out without the nice men to come and help her.
Maybe not. She still did a whole lot of shooting and
but if it was really a feminist movie, like a feminist icon of Princess Leia, she would have escaped herself. Yeah,
no, true, fair enough. But hey, you know, have you ever tried escaping from a Death Star prison cell yourself? By the way, is it Luke's home planet? It has 2 moons.
It has 2 suns. Very cool, eh?
Very cool,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, whether it are moons or suns, very cool. It made me a little bit jealous that we only had one of each.
Yeah, it has a really cool shot of him, looking at
him looking at, yes, that is really cool, that shot.
It's very iconic. Like, I'm looking at my box set of Star Wars.
Oh, nice, yeah, that's the one, basically the same scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's such a great shot of him looking at and with the music, really building at that point as well. It's so great, because John Williams' score is so amazing in this movie. So good.
Yes, it's cool, eh?
I love it. Well, it's what makes this movie what it is, I think. I think with a different score, I think it really just isn't the same. I think it's such an important, critical part of the movie.
This will shock you, but I learnt something amazing and new in this movie.
Gasp.
And that is, lightsabers can be switched off.
Yes, did you not know that?
No, I've only seen lightsabers like people buy them from the warehouse, you know.
Interesting.
Like with a handle and a big long plastic white thing.
Did you think that they had like a scabbard to put their lightsaber in?
More or less,
More or less, yeah. Well, it makes sense, right? Like when you haven't seen Star Wars and you've only seen the lightsaber, you'd compare it
when
to
you've only seen a plastic.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's now that I've learnt that they can be switched off, and I'm really pleased about that. By the way, I actually want one quite badly. They're a cool weapon.
Did you like the practical props? So all the spaceships, it's like Space Odyssey. They were all figurines, filmed.
Yes, the props were very much not Lego, but there used to be a thing called Technics, which was a little bit, basically Lego on steroids, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
These were very much like that. So these things were plastic models, yes, and that was visible.
Well, I've always felt that like practical props and stuff makes things timeless. It makes it so classic compared to dated CGI type thing, right? So when you see a movie from the early 2000s and you go, well, that CGI is shit. But if you see props from, even 100 years ago, right, like the start of cinema, you could still appreciate it.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If you're being picky, you have a few problems with the scale of the Death Star. It's much huger outside than it is inside.
What do you mean? Well, I think they just never went to the other parts,
I suppose.
Well, they're just lucky that the landing bay is so close to the prison bay,
You call that luck?
Coincidence, bad filming.
bad film. I mean, okay, film planning, but...
Yeah, you should see them, taking days to get to the other side of the Death Star, right? If it's the size of a moon.
Yes. Yeah. So much so that it can have almost invisible trenches in its surface that are such that a starfighter can drive along them.
Yeah, that's a accurate flaw of the movie. Yes. Well, a thing that's always got me is the Force is really undefined. You can really just do anything, which is a bit of a criticism.
Yes.
Because obviously it's just a metaphor for a higher power,
But I mean that's how higher powers work.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing in the Bible, right? It's just like, you know, like, Jesus can just do whatever, right? God just really just helps out doing whatever he wants, you know?
I don't feel that now is a time for a discussion on the separate roles of the Trinity. Look, I'm raising the question. Don't answer it. Let's not have a spoiler. But obviously, there's a romantic interest between Luke and Leia.
Well, like, drop it right now. Do you think Luke and Leia will be together at the end, or what do you think's going to happen?
No, look, that would just be too easy of a storyline.
You reckon?
Definitely, there'll be that love interest. It'll be there all the way through. But no, it's too easy of a storyline.
Right. Okay.
Now, by the way, does every movie have the "not even God could sink this ship" point in it?
Probably. Like, it does have a "this just could not be destroyed."
Well, yes, and more to the point, like the guy's offered to get on an evacuation pod at the end, and he's like, "I think you correctly overstate their ability."
Yeah.
And of course, it was the same thing in 2001. Hey, don't you feel so happy and so good and pleased and restore my faith in human nature when Hans comes back at the end? How's that for some nice
It's pretty good, but yeah, come on, it's kind
effect,
of obvious, right?
Well, it wasn't necessarily obvious. I mean, look, I suppose the thing is that I'm watching this with the knowledge that there are a whole lot more of these things. But no, it wasn't obvious to me that he was going to come back and be a hero.
I guess you could see like Han coming
at
back
that
in a
stage.
later movie instead of coming back in
Yeah,
the same movie.
that's what I
That's
wondered.
interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. See, I didn't really think about it like that. I'm like, this is a generic hero story. You know, the friend, he leaves after like an argument or like a disagreement in ideology. And then he comes back at the end and changes his mind and is the hero after all. Alright, so if you had to say rate this movie, what like star would you give it? Like out of 5? So you gave Space Odyssey
more than a 4.
Yeah, you gave Space Odyssey 4.5.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna give this if I was like, I think Space Odyssey possibly deserves a little bit more than this.
Interesting.
To the nearest half star, we'll go for 4.5.
So the same with Space Odyssey, but you still consider Space Odyssey better.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I've also given it the same. I've given it 4.5.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's great.
You got it right,
It's,
Richard. It was the correct answer.
Yay. Look, it is easy watching.
Yes.
Space Odyssey, I'm not saying I'll never watch it again, because I probably will, but it's likely that I could, in the relatively short-term future, rewatch Star Wars. It's the sort of thing that I watch late in the evening when I'm drunken too much.
It's more like enjoyment than it is making you think about anything and being critical.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you watch Star Wars, you don't have to go, oh, I wonder what this means. You know, you can just watch it. You could just enjoy it.
Yeah, so, you know, it's just the mindless watching of stuff, you know. I've got a few Netflix films and TV shows that I have specifically for that purpose. I just watch them when I need some mindless entertainment.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know, when I've drunken far too much and I'm waiting for the Uber Eats to come.
Alright, let's wrap up this Star Wars discussion, because it's already like 2 hours worth of video to fucking edit.
Thanks, guys.
Richard, I salute you.